guys, my name is Lian Chang, and I'm from BlenderCN.org, which is one of the most popular local Blender user communities in China. And this time I want to introduce my Archimator setup based on the animation nodes add-on. This is a very amazing and powerful add-on created by Jacques Luc. Yes, Jacques Luc. Yeah, this handsome man. And actually, this is the version 6 of the Archimator settings. By the way, the Archimator is a word that I created, which means the architecture animation creator. So just call it for short. It's kind of a pun, right? And I was frequently asked by many people that if I can make it compatible with the latest master version of the animation nodes, or if I can add more useful things, features to it. So this time I just hugely refactored and implement a whole new workflow to make it more useful in real projects. And also, I just decided to remove a bunch of features that I think that can be hardly used by most of the people in most of the case. So just make it more useful, and I hope it would be more useful for people in their real projects. Now, let me show you how to use it. Alright, here I just prepared a simple scene with different objects here to demonstrate how to make the architecture animations with the Archimator settings. Well, first, of course, you have to install the animation nodes add-on. For that, you can go to Jacques' GitHub page and find the animation nodes repository, and then simply click the download the zip file, and then install it as you install many other Blender add-ons. Oh, by the way, I think this is only work for the current master version, and that's because for in the future, Jacques will make the Python branch merged into master here. And since then, because the Python code really needs compiling first, so I think you cannot simply download the zip file and install it. And of course, I believe Jacques will provide us a ready-to-use zip file for downloading. Or currently, you can go to the Pistol, the graphical.org, and here you can find animation nodes add-on for different platforms that was compiled by other guys. Now here is the Thomas Beck. Thanks Thomas Beck. And this is Jaspers. Thanks Jaspers and Jacques Luc. Okay, for different platforms. And of course, the current version 6 only works for the master version for now, which means the animation nodes version 1.6. And I'm sure I will keep it updated to the latest version in the future, and will optimize it if possible. Okay, now since I've already installed the animation nodes add-on, you can see that the animation nodes add-on, there is one new node mode here, which is the animation nodes mode. And if it is not in there, for example, now you can see if the current mode is compositing mode, and then you can switch to animation nodes simply by clicking this button, this icon. Well, the second step is for you is to append from the file, then append the node tree in the file I uploaded. So just go to append, or simply hit Shift F1 for shortcut. I find my file, and then click in and find the node tree folder. Now you can see there are totally 3 node trees here. and all of them should be appended all together. So select them all, hit append from library. Okay, after that you can see that I've appended all three node trees here, and the default one is the Archimator. ACMT means Archimator. ACMT underscore settings, and hit home key to center it. Okay, now you can see here is the main panel. Normally, this is the control panel that most of the time you can. It is just enough for you to tweak everything here and leave the other two node trees untouched, because things there only support all features here. And this is a foreground console. This is a foreground control panel, and the other two is just all code lines. Okay, and for example, the Archimator setup, you can of course other than switch them here, you can switch among them by simply click here. For example, we can go to the Xlabs tree. You can see everything here, though it is I don't recommend that you touch anything here, but be sure to keep it enabled always. So this is the enable button. Same to click this, toggle this checkbox. Okay, and the setup tree is the most important one. You can see, oh, there are a whole bunch of nodes here. It is so complicated, as you see, that I highly recommend you do not touch anything here. Or all setting panels, all features here may not work well. So, oh, by the way, I just wonder how many nodes and links I've ever used. It seems so many. Luckily, Jacques provides us a statistics button, a feature for us to see all the statistic data information. Click that. Now you can see there are trees and nodes, the counting node and the links I've ever used. Oh my god, I totally used over 700 nodes and nearly 1300 links. Oh my god. Well, to be honest, I never imagined that I used so many nodes here. I'm not sure if anyone else ever used as many nodes as I used here. But I can say that this is definitely the most complicated setup I've ever created in animation nodes. Well, so with all the complicated setup, there's no doubt that it can be a bit or sometimes quite performance consuming, but there are still some tricks to improve that. I mean, to improve the performance or the playback frame rate speed. So we'll talk about later. But please do not toggle the always checkbox here, which means to keep it always updated, refreshed. So it will dramatically cost so much for performance, and you can hardly tweak anything smoothly here. So just leave that unchecked. Okay, and of course again, just leave all those buttons enabled. Okay, well, by the way, the linked node tree data are supposed to work, but unfortunately animation nodes doesn't currently support that. So you have to append instead of linking, right? Now let's see how to make this work for the real objects. So let's see you can see that there are a bunch of objects here that I provided. The first, you need to create ID keys for the objects you want to animate with the Archimator. For example, for this house or temple or whatever, I select them all, and here you can switch to the AN tab. Now you can see there are buttons from current transforms. Means if you click that, it will batchly create ID keys for all selected objects. Oh, by the way, if you see nothing here, that may be because that you didn't active. You just only select them, but none of them was active. And active objects will always show like a light orange color. So if not, just select. So for example, you can see here. Now you can see that. For example, if I delete that, you can see there's nothing here active. So if I select this group, you can see here nothing here, just a message for you to suggest that you select object. So just hold on shift and select one of the objects and then click this button. Then you can see all objects got their own initial transform data recorded. And this is a batch feature, batch operation feature, as well as the remove button. So if you want to remove the current ID keys for all selected objects, just select them and then hit the remove button. Now you can see they are all being removed altogether. Well, for this case, I'm sure that I want to record ID keys for all the objects. ID keys actually means the initial transforms data, which means the initial location, rotation, and scale information for all objects here. So select them all and then click this button. Now you can see all objects got their own ID keys data recorded. Actually, the data was written as custom properties here. You can see, all right, and you can see if I want to animate this house or temple, whatever, just select them all and then Control G to group them together. Then let me switch the outliner display mode to group. I rename it as house A. Okay, so every time I select house A, it will be a very quick operation by simply clicking this button. And after that, you can use it and or choose it from the list here. Let me just maximize the window. You can see that this node called objects from group, you can find it from the object category and here. Oh, by the way, for the object list node, it can be also supported because this node is supposed to accept the object list data. So the objects is object list, and this list is also an object list. You can pick the objects manually. For example, if I select all those all the objects here, and if I want to add them to the list, just simply click the From Selection button. You can see that all objects here are selected, and then you can link that to this node. This kind of object list creation method is got its limits, right? It does not work so well with a long list with large amount of objects. So a good way is to group them using the object group feature, and then use it from the list. Of course, the object list node got its own advantage in some case. So just remember, you can use this node or other nodes that got object list data output will be accepted too. So most of the time, you just need these two kind of nodes to input objects. So the next step, let's since we've already grouped them as house A, group house A. So let me just choose the house A here to use all objects here in the group as the input data for the Archimator settings panel. Now everything's supposed to work, but however, when I hit Alt A to play, nothing happened. That's because that I haven't tweaked anything here. So generally speaking, when you talk about architectural animation, it basically means the transformation animation, which means the location animation and or the rotation animation and or the scale animation. So you can see here we haven't actually enabled either of the animation types, so definitely there's no animation here in the 3D viewport. First, here is the timing related options. Let me just briefly talk about the workflow. So first, you have to record the ID keys for all objects and then group them and then use the group from here. And now it's time to tweak timing related options here and choose the image style for the objects, and then choose the sort rule for all objects, and then choose one or two or three of the transformation types, and then tweak every other options until you're satisfied. That's all. Okay, that's the basic workflow. Now let's just have a look at what everything here works. The start delay means the frame delay that before the whole animation starts. So it is basically means that let me show you a simple example. Normally speaking, when we animate things in animation nodes, it is recommended to use the nodes under the animation category. For example, if I want to animate the location of the of an object, you can create a animate a vector node for example, and then create a time infer node to input the time infer variable and set the start location and the end location. For example, start from 000 and end with a 5 offset along z-axis, and then we add an object transforms output, and let's toggle the and select an object. Here maybe I can add a monkey here, okay, and then select that as the object we want to animate, then link that here. Now if we play the animation, you can see during 20 frames the animation will be played, and the start position is the word center 0, 0, 0 position, and then go up along z-axis until it got to the z 5. It got to the 5, and you can see this animation costs 20 frames here to finish. So for the start delay, it actually means the delay time before the animation actually starts. So it's something like you add a delay time node here. So this delay is actually the start delay. It's the same thing. Okay, and the group delay here means that you can see that okay, hold on. Now I've input two different group, or actually I haven't put a different group here. Okay, let me create another group. Okay, select them all, Shift Control G, and rename this house as house B. Okay, and then I can select house B from the list. Now you can see I've chosen house A, objects in house A and all objects in house B as the two groups here. And the group delay means the time gap between the two group animation. In other words, animations for all objects in house A finished, and then say with a 5, for example, a 5-frame delay, the objects in the second group starts to animate. So this group delay actually means the time delay between two groups. And the object animation delay means that this is actually the time gap between each two objects within a group. And the animation duration is quite self-explanatory, which is how long the animation will be played from start state to the end position or rotation or something, or scale. So 10 means the animation will take 10 frames to play. And after all the timing things tweaked, and we can set the image style here. 0 means simple like offset animation. We'll see that in the demo later. And number 1 is the from point. If I type the value to 1, it means you use the from point, which means all objects will start to emit from a single point, and then after the animation finished, they finally go back to their initial locations. And next one is group center offset. This is a bit similar to the simple transforms, but you can conveniently set the group center kind of like a group geometry center. You can use an object to offset the whole group easily. And the next one is towards point. This is kind of a reversed radiation effect. And kind of reversed like this from a point. So towards point is this from point may be like a radiation effect, means outward radiation, and towards point is kind of like an inward radiation. All objects will be pushed to their initial location from outward. Next one is from axis, which means the similar to the towards point, from axis is to limit the offset along the axis, the world axis. And the next one is wipe. Wipe is kind of a interesting animation. Besides the other three transformation types, it's something like a grow animation. It's quite interesting. We'll see about that later. If you set a value to 5, which means these two nodes will be needed by then. Okay, the hide unborn means that all objects that are not yet animated will be hidden. The next one is the reverse animation means that normally speaking, most of the time you want the animation start from with the offset and then go back to their initial transformation. This is a normal case for most of the architecture animation. However, you can reverse that animation by simply enable this button, which means the animation will start from the object's initial transformation and finally ends at the final state. And the sort settings, sort rules. So why we need sorting? For example, with the object delay, you can see that all objects in the group will be animated one by one. So which object will be animated first and which object will be animated later than that, and vice versa. So the order is not always expected by default. I mean the default order. So the object list got their own default orders. You can hit W and say debug. Now you can see that there are the object order. The default order is the cube.0 053 is the first element in this object list. So if we set the sort rule as 0, which means unsorted, which means that we use the default, the initial order of the list. So in that case, the cube.053 will be animated first, and then comes the cube.1558, okay, sorry, and then blah blah blah. So this order is quite important feature. Well, if this is not the order you are expecting, then you have to redefine this order. Then that's why we need the sort rule definition here. So if you set the number 1 here, now it means that you use the sort rule number 1, which means the distance to point. So all objects in each group will be sorted based on the distance to a single point. So which means that, for example, the object that is closest or the nearest to that point will be animated first. Now you see how it works. So the next one is sorted by distance to direction. Direction actually means that you can define the sorting rule by a direction to a single axis of the reference object. So this axis is a local axis of the reference object. And for the third one, no, this is actually the fourth one, because the rule number starts from 0, right? We can see that is number 3. Number 3 is by distance to line. We can use a line, a straight line, to define the sorting, to define the order. Next one is the name, to sort by the object name actually. So the cube here, let's see, cube.1558. This object will be animated last. This will be ordered to the last based on the object name rule here, right? And I seldom use this feature, but anyway, if in case someone needs that, so just add it here. And the next one is by object path index. You know that each object got their own object path index. So you can set the object path index. Let me see where it is. Oh yes, here, relations here. Object, you can select each object. You can set it from 0 to any value. Okay, so you can set the order of all objects based on their individual path index number. So when, for example, if all objects with path index number 0 will be animated first, and okay, the next is random. Random means kind of a shuffle, and to randomize the original object list. So nothing fancy. And the next one is a very cool one. This is a long spline. It's similar to the two line feature, but this allows you to create a Bezier curve as a guidance to the animation. So this is a very cool feature, but it's also a time-consuming feature. We'll see about that later. I hope so. Well, next, the invert order. So after objects are sorted with this option, and we just simply invert that order. in some case. So, and use concurrency order. This is a very important one. This means that objects with the same condition, sort condition match will be animated altogether. For example, all objects with the path index number 1 will be animated altogether. Without concurrency order enabled, for example, even two objects got the same path index, they will have to be animated one after another. There is no concurrency happening if we don't toggle this one. So this is a very important and commonly used feature. So now comes the key part. If we want to see the animation here, we have to toggle one or more of the animations to see what kind of animations you are expecting. For example, we want all the two houses animated with an offset along z-axis, with a 5-unit offset along z-axis. So just simply toggle that. Now you can see a bunch of other, just simply delete them. Okay, now you can see that there are a bunch of other options pop out. Well, this is an interesting feature, right? This is a feature that I implemented specifically for the Archimator setup. Due to the complexity of the whole panel, you can see if I didn't auto hidden or auto collapse that, you will have to see a whole long list like this. This is all options hidden due to the current tweak. Now you can see this. There are it can say that there are nearly 100 options here, right? So I'm sure that it will drive everyone crazy if I don't hide all those options that are not currently necessary to be displayed due to the current option. If I don't want to animate the rotation and scale, just simply hide them to keep the panel clean and to keep life easy. Okay, and for example here I just toggle the location, which means I just want to animate the locations for all objects in the two groups. By the way, the auto collapse feature is actually supported by this node tree, as we all see before. I highly recommend that you don't touch all things here. Okay, just leave them alone. Okay. So after enable the animate location settings, you can see a bunch of other new options here. So the location animation priority actually means that the animation priorities for animated location, rotation, and scale, you can also see nearly the same options here, which means the priority among the three kind of animation types, which means you can decide which kind of animation will be animated first and which animation will be animated after that. For example, here the location animation priority is set to 0 and the rotation animation priority is set to 0 by default as well. So if I enable the animated rotation as well, which means I want to animate both the location and the rotation of all objects. So with the same priorities value here, they are all 0, means that the location and the rotation animation will be animated together. But if I set the rotation to 1, which means that the location with the priority 0 will be animated first. After the location animation ends for a single object, the animation location will be animated first, and then the rotation animation will start after that animation ends. And this is a delay. with you can decide a delay. And this is start location delta. For example, I want the start location of all objects start at offset along z-axis with 5 units. So this is a global location. So let's just see. Okay, go to frame 0, then play the animation. You can see that all animations in the two objects group, between the two groups, will be animated one after one, and they all start from 5 unit offset along z-axis, and then finally with 10 frames will go back to their initial location. And then you can see that with the first animation, when the first group animation ends, and then past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a group delay, and then the second animation in the second group animation will actually start. Okay, so for the start delay, by the way, I always set that to 1 because normally in Blender the start frame is always 1 by default, right? So animate really start from 1, but in animation nodes the time always start from 0 by default. So with a 1 offset you can make it sync with the Blender start frame, right? If not, for example, I set it to 0. Now you can see that now I'm at frame 1. You can see some objects, the animation already started before the frame 1. So I've set frame to 0. Everything initialized. Oh, by the way, if you go to frame 0, which means everything will go back to their initial state. So if you want to initialize everything, just go back to frame 0. And sometimes you really need to go back to 0 for at least twice. You can click here to jump to the 0. Normally you don't have to jump to frame 0 twice, but for some reason you have to jump it twice with the image style 5 with the wipe animation used. Well, I'm figuring how to solve that, but for now this is the only way to make the wipe animation work properly. Okay, forget that. Okay, now congratulations, you see that how we animate the animation. Now you can see that we've already animated the objects we've already chosen. So this is actually the basic workflow is that oh, by the way, here if we want to use the local orientation means that this coordination will be based on local axis of each object. So use that, so toggle that if you really need that. And add random location delta means that you can add a random value, a secondary delta to the main delta here. Okay, and here you can add a range. This is a kind of a range setting or a scale, a delta scale setting for the different objects. So let's just see how it works. You can see with delta we've set it. And for the rotation, they also got, and the scale, they also got a similar random scale factor, right? For the rotation, the same. And Well, I don't want to add location delta for now, so just disable that. And use individual location animation delay and duration means, if I toggle that, this value will replace the uniform delay and duration value. This value is for the global value for all three kind of transformation animation, or actually four kinds of, with the fourth is the wipe animation, right? Without using the individual location animation here, which means for example, for the location animation, which means the location animation will use the object animation delay value 1, and with the animation duration frame 10 as the uniform or global setting. Okay, which means all the transformation types will use this two value for their location, for their animation. But if I want to set them individually, I can toggle that and then set a different delay animation. For example, set delay animation, for example, set to 2 and with a duration to 5. Let's see how it works. Okay, so if I set the duration to 20, okay, see how it works. And the last one is the interpolation setting. So sometimes you may want to choose another kind of interpolation, for example, back. So let's repeat that, see how cool is that. With a back, you can see a back interpolation effect. Well, that's the basic idea here. So let's see again. By the way, you see that when I play the animation, I always maximize the 3D window. That's because you can see, if not, when I play the animation, you can see the frame rate here. Here now is 13. Okay, average it is 13. Then if I maximize the 3D window and then play the animation, you can see the frame rate got the enhancement to nearly 20. So for a better playing back speed, it is highly recommended that you maximize the 3D window or just hide the node editor. However, it doesn't quite help here. So just simply maximize the current 3D view and then play. Everything will go much more smoothly. But however, for objects, for the cases with more objects, for example, here we got a object array with more objects. Now maybe let's group them together. We created a new group, call it array. Okay, and then we can add the array group into the list, which means we also animate this array group. Now you can see with more objects added, the frame rate is dropped down dramatically even when I maximize the 3D view window. So you can see that more objects involved and more performance cost. That's the bottleneck. However, for the final render animation, you can use the bake to keyframes feature to speed that up before the final render. For example, let's just try just bake 2 keyframes. Now you can see the transformation animation will be recorded per frame for per object. So this is sometimes will be will cost you longer, but after that the playback speed will be much faster and smooth. Okay, now the baking finished. Okay, done. Okay, after that you can see when you play, the frame rate is actually there's no improvement here. That's because after baking there's no need to enable the node calculation, so you just disable them for now and then try to play the animation. Now you can see the frame animation goes very smooth, right? This is something you should do when you really want to preview the real speed, or to preview the timing and the final for the final render. Okay, and supposing if you want to delete all object or all animations here, just simply switch to the dope sheet and keep all objects selected, and all go back to frame for the last frame, and then select all and hit delete keyframes for all objects. Done. Okay. Oh, no, there are some objects that we just select them all, but for the initial, this is always happen when you delete the animation for an object that is animated during the animation. So the object will lost their initial transformations. For that, switch back to the node editor and re-enable the node, and then go back to frame 0. Blah. All things initialized. Okay, and when you play the animation, it's something like as usual. Well, that's you can try the different settings for the image style and for the sort rules to see how it works. Concurrency order too. I think there are too many options here that can be hardly covered within this video, since this video is already got too long, and I just want to show you something more that is well, just take a single group for example. If we want to use the wipe animation, now here I type the animation to the value to 5. Now you can see there is one more input socket displayed. And one more thing is that when using the wipe animation, it is highly recommended that you disable all other 3 kind of animations, because the wipe animation will always not work so well with the other animation. So you will see why during the demonstration later. Well, for first, we need that. Okay, we need those two. Nodes, and then you can see the generic list, link to generic list, and then link the objects to the wiper instances for the image style 5 only. And the reason why we have to use this outside the panel is that the object instance node will have to be used outside all kind of subprograms. This is a kind of limit, a hard rule of the animation nodes add-on, and a little trick to remind. For the wiper, what kind of wiper object is a good wiper? Now simply create, maybe we can find an empty layer, then create a default cube, then type into the edit mode, and then GZ1 to move all elements along the axis with the offset 1, which means to make the origin to the bottom face center. So now this is the wiper. So select that. We can rename the wiper to means wiper. Okay. Select that wiper. Now we can go back to the layer 1. Okay. This is the house A, means this house we used, and wiper. Let's just go to frame 1, frame 0 once and twice, and play. Nothing happened. Why? Well, that's kind of a problem that I'm still figuring out. And just go to frame 0 and use another image settings, say 0, and then go back to 5. Well, so the basic workflow would be after set the object instancer, you have to retype the, go back to use another image style, and then go back to 5. Then the code will work for that. I'm still figuring how to improve the workflow, but anyway, this is the current workaround. Okay, and let's check the other thing here. Start from 1 and animation duration, we set it to maybe 30. Okay. For web interpolation, linear is recommended one, so I don't think things like back, bounce, or elastic will work better for the web animation. So let's just play that to see what animation will look like. You can see this is kind of a wipe animation. What kind of wipe animation? Now you get the point, right? It's kind of like just a wipe, okay? So it's quite self-explanatory, which can be hardly done by the other 3 transformation animation types. So this is a very different from a scale animation, right? Obviously. So after use the wipe animation, you can see that the wipe animation settings are now here, and you can try some other. Also, you can use the individual wipe animation delay and duration instead of the global value. And when you toggle the uniform speed button, now you can see how everything works. What kind of a uniform? Okay, I can see. Now you can see what kind of the uniform means. Well, this uniform works better when you animate all objects all together. So we set the object delay to 0, means all objects in the group will be animated together. So now you can see how the uniform means. See, let's play that frame by frame. All objects will grow together with the same height, right? And when set animation delay to 0, and if we don't enable the uniform speed button, now you can see that all objects will be animated together, but with their different height, right? Now this is the difference. Okay, something like this. By the way, if any time when you tweak not only for wipe, for the other three types of animation, rotation, scale. Anytime if any object location or rotation, if any value, default value of the object transformation changed, or even you the enter the element location changed, you have to always re-record the ID keys here and go back to 0 again. Sometimes you have to go back to 0 twice, 1, 2, twice at least, and to make everything work well. And oh, by the way, one more big thing is that this panel, when you choose different groups here, which means all different groups will share the same options here. And supposing you want to animate different groups, for example, if we want to animate another group, Shift D. For example, if you want to animate the array animation here, so if we want the array animation with a different setting, for example, I want to animate the array animation with the scale animation. First we have to set the scale factor. Now there's one thing to see that for location and the rotation, the scale location delta is the definition information, but which is different from scale it is not called the start scale delta. It is called the start scale factor. That's because the factor multiplier is what we usually we prefer to set based on scale, right? So if we set the factor to 0.5, which means the start scale will be start from the 0.5 scale to the initial scale. Let's just see that. So that means if we want to first animate the first two group animations, and then after that finished, the array animation starts. For that we can set the we can set a sequence animation. For that, just toggle the for sequence animation. Then you'll see there are some output appeared, and this is the global objects output, and this is global matrices, and this is the time offset. For the sequence, we also need to toggle this one, and you can see time offset input appears, and you can link that time offset output here. Okay. Let's see if anything missing. Okay, just toggle that with that option. Now this is not just a simple offset. Okay, now two different settings for two bunch of groups. Okay, let's just see how it goes. So for the first group, you can see the animation. I didn't bake that. Now you can see the array animation goes, right? So yeah, that's all. So I hope you can discover the other cool features yourself, and if any other questions, just let me know. Okay, happy blending.